Why is there no common sense classes in schools like how to do taxes or how to open a bank account? Or even how to save money for emergencies or plan for retirement? Submitted by Talpa 710. I think that was initially the plan for home economics, but then they just get tired and hand you a microwave pizza. I had a class like that high school. We learned how to budget, do taxes, fill out resumes, open bank accounts, balance a checkbook, all that useful shit. There is an argument to be made that schools are meant to teach you the skills you need to be able to figure these things out for yourself. Tax forms come with instructions. English classes teach you to read and understand complex texts. Budgeting is basic arithmetic with a bit of logical reasoning thrown in. I agree there is a need for financial literacy training for young people. But at its most basic level, every high school graduate should have the skills to figure things out for themselves. In high school, I found that those subjects were covered in classes such as economics and home economics. As a matter of fact, in my senior home management class, we had units on credit management, personal budgeting, saving, investing, and other things. This class also covered household tasks such as cooking and cleaning to a much greater extent than your typical high school home economics class. This course was taught at the Tennessee School for the Blind. It was offered in order to help blind and visually impaired people live more independently. We absolutely include these in our lessons. PSHCE and maths. In my experience, the people who complain about never being taught anything useful like this are the same ones who don't listen, don't remember most of what they were taught, and probably keep asking, when will I ever need this in life? Asterisk even when I had started the lesson by explaining why it was useful asterisk. They are the ones who don't notice how annoyed the other students are when they make another hilarious comment or ask a question I literally just answered. 1. They are taught, and at a young age. By 4th grade, if not much earlier, you should have been taught to follow directions to fill out a form, how to add, and how to subtract. That covers almost everything in your scenarios. 2. They are reinforced and given more detail throughout school. Things like understanding compound interest and rates of return are always in the math textbooks, usually with call-outs or full-page spreads with graphs to explain it visually, and word problems to put it into perspective. 3. It's common sense. If you've reached adulthood without being able to fill out a form, do basic arithmetic, or even ask someone for help with it, there's not much more a school could do for you. How to save money. Bitch, just don't spend it. Put X dollars in cash into an envelope every payday. That was in my schooling. I remember filling in photocopied tax backs every lesson for about 3 weeks when I was 15. We did bank accounts, loans and superannuation, retirement, as well. We also did how the electoral system works in House. Some form of driver's ed would have been nice. There were at my school. It was even mandatory, and I found they are available at a lot of high schools. They're just electives and kids don't take them this year. I graduated in 2013. But I went to college to be a teacher myself. Didn't finish that degree, but I actually did do some research on that topic. I looked into the course books on all of the nearby districts. Every single one of them had a course like that. Some were mandatory for graduation, but many were just offered as electives. And X200B. But I will agree they should just be a mandatory part of every curriculum this year. However, when it comes to taxes, I think they wouldn't teach that because it's so complicated depending on where you are and what laws are currently in place that a lot of people don't know how to do it. That's why accountants make the big bucks. They spend 4 years figuring out how to do it in college so other people will pay them to do it for them this year. Parents taught me those stuff, you. Many schools do teach these things. Some students don't learn them because they're not paying attention when those things are taught. But most importantly, every school is different. It's different from country to country. And if we're talking about the United States, each state has its own curriculum. Each district implements that curriculum differently. And each school within that district follows its guidelines differently. Just because something does not happen at your school does not mean it does not at others. Opening a bank account is usually as easy as walking up to a teller and saying, "I want to open a bank account." No need classes for that. Income tax is easy in most parts of the world. Just follow the instructions you are given. America seems to want to deliberately make it hard, so that people will buy tax calculation softwares. Either way, no reason they will teach it in schools. Financial planning. It's honestly a little hard to teach high school students, who don't even have income, how to do budget based off monthly income. But yes, I do think people will benefit if they learned about personal finance from a younger age. Much of what is taught in high school is useless, but basic skills such as how to read, write, speak, Google stuff, show up to work punctually, are all taught. As a bonus, home economics even teaches you how to cook, clean, and sew, all of which are very useful practical skills. My kid's high school has a class that covers this, but it is an elective. Not everyone has to take it. I think it's because they expect the parents to teach their kids about that. I was required to take a personal finance class in high school. I used knowledge I got in that class, which was a total throwaway class where we just filled in worksheets while watching Dave Ramsey videos almost daily as an adult. Ramsey is a good guy, with so many great lectures and a no-nonsense view on the American way of life which encourages enormous debt. I am now 25, with a credit score of 776, and I'm gonna pay off my $15K car loan 33 months early. Heyo. Maybe you don't need a class to do things that can be explained in a sentence or two. Use 1040EZ for your taxes when you're young. Walk into a bank and sit in a chair. When someone asks if they can help you, ask to open an account. Save money by starting a savings account and putting 10% of your earnings in it. Plan for retirement by transferring savings into a simple mutual fund. There is also Google and YouTube for you advanced kids. I had a finance class back in 2011. Opening a bank account is very easy, and if you don't know it, call the bank and they're happy to help. Saving money for emergencies is pretty self-explanatory. Just put money aside every month. Plan for retirement is, at least in my country, almost fully automatic, and taxes are not difficult if you just read what you have to do. It might seem a little complicated in the beginning, but if you start reading, everything will be explained. Maybe it depends on the country. If you're in America, IDK how it works there. Different versions of this question get asked damn near every day on this sub. In my country, financial maths is included in the maths curriculum. As you're opening a bank account is piss easy. I just walked into my bank, said I wanted to open an account, filled in some forms and got one within 30 minutes. You really don't need a class for that. Even if schools did offer classes like that, students wouldn't pay attention. It's pretty hard to convince most 16-year-olds that anything is important. Least of all plans for retirement. Half of them haven't even started working yet. The concept of retirement isn't in their brains yet. Sometimes you have to just figure shit out on your own because that's what adults do. Teacher here. It's because there aren't any tests associated with these classes that can make the school look good. We have sold our academic souls to the for-profit college board and bought into the AP program. Because all kids are supposed to go to college, and if you go into a trade or other endeavor, you've failed at life. Hopefully you can pick up on my sarcasm this year. because the generation born between 1945 and 1965 enjoyed a vast network of civic programming and social safety netting. As they grew up during a time of unprecedented prosperity and optimism, a few stars in this constellation of benefits pertain to their learning home economics in school, and the allied expectation that one would easily find a ready, steady, and well-paying job upon graduation. It's easy to manage your finances well and build personal wealth when there is a lot to go around. More than ever before, when they came into their own generational power, they stripped all of these programs down on the argument that their children and grandchildren didn't need to be coddled and should instead be thrust into the world to make it on their own, fancying themselves to have been completely self-sufficient and autonomous in their day. They confused the means of prosperity, civic programming, well-funded school systems, for its end, comfort and prosperity, and believed it should be toiled after even as they had it handed to them by the silent and greatest generations. Nowadays, if they see that you're struggling, they become amnesiacs and fall back on false experiences to claim that it's only because you're not working hard enough, imagining that the same system they had growing up is still here, pointing out that it isn't here anymore because of their actions doesn't work, because that would mean admitting that they had helped to get where they are today. This is the power of Requiem. The other classes at school enable you to work this shit out. We live in an age of unparalleled access to information. If you're a grown-up and you can't figure it out, my bet is that you're the sort of person for whom these classes wouldn't have helped anyway. Because it's all stuff you can teach yourself with the tools they give you in other classes. Because you can learn these with a simple Google search. Because mitochondria is the powerhouse of cell is more important, apparently. I went to 3 different schools, for 3 different degrees over here, and none of these had anything regarding your normal private life, not even a club or anything. When my mom, mid-50, went to school, she had some kind of class K in which she learned how to sew and repair clothes and such. We didn't even learn that. When I moved out, I had to ask my mom a lot more than I'd like to since I was already an adult. Even my brother, who is mid-30, had to ask my mom stuff when he got his first son. At least schools now think about including first aid classes. It's a tiny step, but at least it is a step. I remember they had a pseudo class for it for the people who were doing super badly in school. Not really sure if they needed it though. Everyone who I knew that did poorly academic-wise had a fuck ton of life skills. We have a financial literacy class that may be helpful. My son is a sophomore in high school, and he's taking a personal finance class. How to make a budget, how taxes work, how to apply for a job, all that stuff. So there are classes like that. It's just that not every school system offers or requires them this year.